I've replayed that word more times than I can count, and I still can't tell you exactly how it sounded. Flat, I think, not dramatic. Bank managers aren't trained for drama. They're trained for liability. I want to start with the lobby, because that's where I actually remember standing, not the phone call. The call is blurry now, a collection of details I've had to reconstruct. 7:04 a.m. A woman named Denise, the words 100,000 said slowly, like she expected me to interrupt her. I didn't. I never do, in the beginning. That's something I've had to learn about myself, watching this back. By the time I reached the branch, my ID already out before I hit the door. My parents were seated in the waiting area like they'd arrived early for a flight. My sister was between them, scrolling her phone, legs crossed, unbothered in the specific way she gets unbothered. The kind that isn't confidence so much as certainty that nothing bad happens to her in rooms like this. They stood when they saw me. My mother smiled first. I want to be precise about that smile, because it wasn't cruel. It was practiced. The kind of smile you give someone right before you ask them for something you've asked them for 100 times. So many times the asking itself has become a kind of family shorthand. She deserves more, my mother said. I didn't answer. I've thought about why. Some of it was shock, sure, but some of it was older than shock. A reflex built over 20 years of being the one who absorbs first and reacts later, if at all. My father filled the silence the way he always does, treating my quiet as agreement. You'll pay it, he said. You always do. That sentence is the one I keep returning to because it wasn't a threat. It was a fact, stated the way you'd state my birthday or my blood type. Something settled and known. And the worst part, the part I'm still sitting with, is that he wasn't wrong. Not historically. I'd covered a car repair in 2019 without being asked twice. A security deposit the year before that. Tuition once, that nobody called a loan, because nobody intended to treat it like one. None of these were confrontations. Each one, on its own, looked like generosity. It's only in sequence that they look like something else. The manager, younger than I expected, careful in his movements, pulled up the account application on a monitor angled slightly away from me. I remember the mechanical stillness of it. Cursor blinking. Data loading. My mother had already begun narrating the purpose of the credit line. Something about consolidating expenses for my sister's move, said, with the ease of someone reading from a script she'd used before, maybe on other relatives, maybe on other bank employees. I don't know. I've never asked. He scrolled once, paused, scrolled again, slower this time, and I watched his face do the thing faces do when they're checking something twice, because the first read seemed impossible. Then he turned the monitor toward me. Why is your mother's phone number listed as yours? I looked at the field. My name, correctly spelled. My social security number, correct. And beneath the contact information, a phone number I recognized instantly, because I'd grown up dialing it into a landline on a wall in a kitchen that doesn't exist anymore. I said I didn't know. That was true. I still don't know, not in the sense of understanding the mechanics of it. Whether it was a form filled out from memory, an old application recycled, a habit of my mother's that had calcified into a kind of muscle memory identity theft. The way people forget they're doing something, because they've done it so long it no longer registers as an act. The manager didn't ask another question. He turned back to his screen, and something in his posture changed. Not aggressive, just final. That's when he said it. Fraud. One word, delivered the way you'd deliver a diagnosis. Not to punish anyone in the room, just to name what was already true. I want to tell you my parents' faces collapsed. They didn't. What I saw instead was recalibration. My mother's mouth tightening at the corners, my father's eyes moving to the manager and then to me, doing some private arithmetic about what this meant and who it would cost. My sister looked up from her phone for the first time since I'd walked in, and for a second, just a second, I thought I saw something like fear. Not for me. For the plan, nobody apologized. I want to be honest about that, because I think people expect a scene like this to end in confession, in tears, in someone finally saying the thing that makes sense of everything. That didn't happen. What happened was quieter and stranger. The manager began explaining process, fraud affidavits, a case number, next steps that had nothing to do with feelings and everything to do with paperwork. My mother interrupted twice, trying to reframe the conversation as a misunderstanding between family, and both times the manager redirected her, gently, back to procedure. Not unkind, just unmoved. That was the part that undid something in me. Watching an institution be indifferent to a story that had worked on me my entire life. I left with a folder. Case number, contact information, instructions for the next 30 days. My parents were still in the lobby when I walked out, my father saying something to the manager I didn't stay to hear. My sister was already outside on her phone again, as if the last 20 minutes belonged to a different day entirely. I sat in my car for a while before starting the engine, not crying, just still. The way you get still after something reorganizes itself inside you without your permission. Here's what I don't have, and I won't pretend otherwise. I don't have an ending where my mother calls to apologize, or where my father admits the sentence he said, "You always do," was a burden he placed on me deliberately, rather than a truth he simply expected me to keep fulfilling. I don't know if this changes anything between us, or if it only changes what they're now unable to do without consequence. Those aren't the same thing, and I used to think they were. What I have is a case number, and a folder, and the specific, unglamorous knowledge that somewhere in a system that doesn't care about anyone's feelings, my name is now protected in a way my family never managed to protect it themselves. I don't know yet if that's a victory. I think it might just be the first fact I've had in a long time that nobody in my family gets to argue with.